Okay, we can start.
Yes, madam. I welcome you to this session and thank you for giving consent to present and give a talk for us, madam. Before starting your lecture, I would like to read a few lines from Savitri, madam, if you permit me.
Yes, please go ahead.
The frontiers of the ignorance shall recede, more and more souls shall enter into light, minds lit, inspired, the occult summoner here, and lives ablaze with a sudden inner flame, and hearts grow enamored of divine delight, and human wills tuned to the divine will. These separate selves, the spirit's oneness feel, these senses of heavenly sense grow capable, the flesh and nerves of a strange ethereal joy, and mortal bodies of immortality. A divine force shall flow through tissue and cell, and take the change of breath and speech and act, and all the thoughts shall be a glow of suns, and every feeling a celestial thrill. Often a lustrous inner dawn shall come, lightening the chambers of the slumbering mind. A sudden bliss shall run through every limb, and nature with a mightier presence will fill. Thus shall the earth open to divinity, and common natures feel the wide uplift, illumine common acts with the Spirit's ray, and meet the deity in common things. Nature shall live to manifest secret God, the Spirit shall take up the human play, this earthly life become the life divine. Thank you, madam. Now I request Dr. Shobha Rani, madam, to present the profile of Dr. Chalamai Reddy Garu.
Good afternoon, ma'am, one and all. It's my honor to present profile of Dr. Chalamai Reddy, ma'am, Director and Principal of Sri Aurobindo International School, Hyderabad. Dr. Chalamai Reddy has an innate passion for innovation in education, exploring and enriching the practices of learning and actively engaging academicians, teachers, and children in the process of self-discovery are the two major areas around which her work revolves. She was a student of Sri Aurobindo International Center of Education, Puducherry, until 1977. She graduated from Ohio University, United States of America in 1984. She received her PhD in 1991 from the Department of English, Pondicherry University, where she completed her thesis on Sri Aurobindo critique of poetry based on his future poetry. 30 years of experience as principal of Sri Aurobindo International School, comprising of 1,350 students and over 150 faculty and supporting staff. The school runs under the aegis of the Institute of Women Study, of which she is a trustee. Proven academic excellence and integral development of students out of high school with 100% results over the years. Planned and executed transition to an integral education model as envisioned by Sri Aurobindo since 1992. The vision of national education is being endorsed presently by National Education Policy 2020. Conceptualized, designed, and conducted weekly training sessions in integral education for all teachers in the light of Sri Aurobindo vision of integral education, addressed and demonstrated success in orienting parents in understanding and appreciating the concept of five-fold education, provided leadership, designed curriculum, conducted workshops as a consultant and subject matter specialist of integral education to various other heads of schools aspiring to implement integral education in their respective schools. Wrote and published several articles on the vision and practice of integral education. Conducted workshops for over 1,000 students and for over 500 teachers across the state on value education, a Government of India initiative for reinforcing values in education. groomed students to become potential leaders through annual leadership camps, guided study groups of young seekers across various professions in the teachings of Sri Aurobindo since 2 decades, scripted, produced, and directed several dance, ballets, and plays for students based on Sri Aurobindo teachings, established a student learning resource center and initiated through relying to child-centric learning from text-centric teaching. This center generated development of learning material which facilitated and aided in self-learning process. All subjects at primary level, designed work, sheets to replace use of textbooks. Organized various annual events as convener of the Environmental Committee of ASISC Telangana. Has inspected many schools for approving provisional affiliation for ICSE. As a member of the Executive Committee of ISISC Telangana since 2010. She is also the founder director of the residential school New Creation, a free progress school CBSE started in 2015. Branch of Sri Aurobindo International School running under the aegis of Matridarshan Trust. As a managing trustee of the Matridarshan Trust non-governmental organization, she takes care of planning activities and programs for rural development. She is acting as chairman of Institute of Women Study, Parent Body and Matridarshan Trust. Thank you, ma'am, for giving this wonderful opportunity of introducing Dr. Chelamai Reddy, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Shobha.
Thank you. Thank you, Shobha madam. Yes, for a very, very long and exhaustive kind of a description.
Thank you.
But I'm very much a learner on this line of integral education. The more I read Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, the more I realize how less I know. But thank you for your wonderful introduction. Yes, Umaji, can I start?
Ma'am, please just adjust your camera.
Okay.
It's more towards door behind you. Turn this side.
Now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Now it's better?
Still, yes.
Yes?
It's better, madam. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay.
Please carry on.
Yeah. Can see me now clearly? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah, so firstly, I would like to sincerely thank you, Umaji, for inviting me to this two-day webinar as part of the celebration of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. We are very grateful that you have given me this opportunity to interact with your colleagues, your students, and other, kind of participants who have joined us this afternoon. As I said, I'm very humbled by the invitation because although in the introduction, so much has been said about how much I have been involved in the journey of integral education. As I said, to be honest, the more I walk on this path, the more I realize how little we know and how much we need still to know. But I have accepted this because we are also taking this occasion to celebrate the 150th birth anniversary year of Sri Aurobindo. So it's a great honor to be part of the celebrations, anything that is able to celebrate the glory of the greatest Mahayogi of our century, Sri Aurobindo. So the title of the webinar you gave as the Sri Aurobindo, the poet and the nationalist. So I will be speaking about his other additional aspect as a national educationist. As I have been asked to speak about how integral education served as a source to National Education Policy 2020. So yes, my topic would be a little different from all the previous speakers who have been speaking about Sri Aurobindo more as a, kind of great philosopher or a yogi, although Anand Bhaiya objected to the term philosopher. We have been deliberating upon the teachings and the philosophic vision of Sri Aurobindo. And also, I think yesterday you have taken him up as a poet and as a nationalist. So, my dear friends, I would just be speaking more about, his concept, his vision of integral education. And I'm sure it would interest all of us because we are in the, we make part of the education institution, whether in school or college or university. And I think education is a subject which actually interests every individual because either we are a student or we are a parent of children who are in education institutions. So it is a topic which is evergreen, and it is a topic which, I think it kind of inspires introspection and reflection by all of us. And that is what is, the purpose of my wanting to share some thoughts. Because as I said, we all make part of the this whole present conventional educational system. So whether in schools or colleges and universities, and we are all kind of caught up in its many problems and the general kind of as we call it in French, malaise, a sense of uneasiness that we experience. And why am I saying that? You see, my question is very pointed. I want to directly ask each and every one of you, because as I said, either you're a student or you are an educationist, as to whether we are completely satisfied about the present, educational system, or are we, I'm saying, are we okay with the manner in which our education systems are functioning today? And if we are not okay, why, according to you, what might be the reason? What is actually ailing the educational institution? What is the real nature of this uneasiness that we are feeling? Or are we totally happy with it? Are we completely satisfied? And as I said, if not, then what is the core cause? What is the core cause that is creating this dissatisfaction in the first place? So let us try, let us together try to find out and resolve, at least first find out what we are feeling to be a problem, and whether, we as educationists are satisfied with the outcome in terms of what the children are taking away from schools or colleges or universities, and what are they kind of, how are they becoming individuals who are able to support and become part of the community and the society. And if we are not satisfied, then what kind of steps do we need to take to bring about a radical change or a completely overhauling of this education system? These are some of the questions I want to throw at all of us for us to introspect and deliberate, because we can't really expect education to change by default and to perform any miracle just by any kind of, some kind of a wishful thinking. We need to figure out how to do this. And I would like to first find out a few answers from all of you before I proceed. So can anybody tell me, first thing, are you satisfied with the conventional, formal system of education that we are following? Or do you think that we need to kind of do something about it? So I would like the students to respond, and as well as the professors and the readers and the lecturers. So do you really think everything is fine? My question is that. Yeah, anybody wants to answer that?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
This is Dr. Jocelina from Social Welfare Degree College.
Okay.
So I want to express my opinion about present education system. I'm not quite satisfied with the present education system.
Others, please mute yourself. Please, others, mute yourself. Yes.
Because I feel that the education system is slightly tilted towards students. I mean, nowadays teachers, we find that students are almost totally dependent on teachers, and hardly there are skills. We find hardly any skills in students, especially because I'm a language teacher. I feel that English language requires reading, writing, speaking, and listening skills. So these skills are hardly to be found, and they are totally dependent on technology, and hardly there is any kind of respect towards teachers. And there is a kind of, definitely there is a kind of dissatisfaction that I can feel in the education system. This is my feeling.
Okay, great. That's very interesting. I mean, yes, very relevant what you have spoken. Anybody else wants to say, any student wants to respond to this? Are you happy with the system of education, prevalent system of education here?
Madam, I'm not a student, but I'm a parent of my son recently completed a CA, Chartered Accountancy. But all throughout his school, college, as a parent, I had to deploy tutors, classes, coaching classes over and above the school. And I had put him into the best of the schools in Bombay. So I always wonder what kind of education system we have, where in spite of paying such high fees and so-called good schools, we are putting our children into, and still, we have to push the children to go to classes, the top coaching classes, pay hefty fees. So this is something not right. It has to be addressed and rectified.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Agarwal, for responding so well. Yes, I agree with you. I'm waiting for any student to say this. Are you happy with the way your learning is happening? Any student? You have been very active when Anand Bhai was speaking to you. So would you like to respond? No, nobody wants to. Umameshwarji, no students are coming forward to responding. Are you happy with the system? Are you having concerns? You are not happy, and do you know why you're not happy? What is the manner in which you would like to be educated? Can you just share your thoughts with us?
మా స్టూడెంట్స్ ఉన్నారా? తెలుగులో అయినా పర్వాలేదు, మాట్లాడండి మేడం తో.
మాట్లాడండి, తెలుగులో పర్వాలేదు.
ఇష్యూస్ విత్ లాంగ్వేజ్.
No issues at all.
అమ్మా తెలుగులోనైనా ఎక్స్ప్రెస్ చేయండి మీ వ్యూస్. Whoever is
Madam, my son wanted to tell something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ma'am, I am happy with my education, my teachers and my principals also, ma'am.
Wonderful. So which school do you go to?
I'm almost 10 tots.
Oh wow, I think that's a great school. Then you're very happy with your teachers and principals. That's very, very nice. But would you like something to change? Are you happy with everything in the school, or would you like something to change there?
No, ma'am, I'm happy with everything.
Wonderful. Okay, then there's no debate on that. Yeah. Anybody in the college, in the university who are not happy?
మా పీజీ స్టూడెంట్స్ ఉన్నారా? మనీషా. Yes.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon. Yes, Manisha, go ahead.
I am happy with the education, madam.
Okay. Oh, wonderful. So I'm very happy to see that everybody seems to be happy. Okay.
అమ్మా ఇది మేడం కోసం చెప్పకండి, నా కోసం చెప్పకండి. మేడం is asking about the system of education.
Yes, madam. Education is very nice, but sports, we are not including our sports now, madam. That's why the students want to participate in the sport and curricular activities.
Okay, you want more co-curricular activities. Very
Yes,
nice.
madam.
Yes, that's a very good point.
Not only education, not only study now, madam.
Yes. That's
The
right.
students
Yes, very good point. Very good point. So you want sports also to be added?
Yes, madam.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, anybody else?
Thank you, madam.
Share screen, show captions.
Can I make?
Yes, please.
Yeah, this is Dr. Satish Kumar, Department of Commerce, SRR College, the host college.
regarding teaching style or the that we are using in the conventional system, probably all of us following one system called lecture delivery.
మేడం మాట్లాడారు.
But to the best of my knowledge, there is a immediate need to change our style of
Meenakshi, can you
teaching.
please mute yourself?
రోజు పెడుతుంది ఒక్క రోజు
మీనాక్షి మేడం,
పార్టిసిపెంట్ అని వస్తే ఫోటో తీద్దామంటే అది వచ్చేటట్లే.
Meenakshi madam, please mute yourself. You are creating disturbance. Please. Meenakshi madam, please mute yourself.
Yes, Satish Garu, please go ahead.
Yeah. So as far as my experience and understanding concerned, couple of changes are required. Instead of monotony presentation with lectures or the PPT presentation, better to identify certain tools which are suitable to respective chapters and the syllabus. Like overall, I can say participative nature of activity. Second one is outcome based followed, otherwise to be included in the part of our syllabus and curriculum, so that students can receive the subject thoroughly and they can apply when they go to jobs and they become entrepreneurs or even in their life throughout their life. This is my thought. Thank you, madam.
Well, thank you for sharing your excellent thoughts. So you spoke about output, and what is the other one that you said? Skill based.
Activity based.
Activity based. Yeah. Yes. 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 Wonderful. Yes. I am very glad to hear your kind of thoughts on this. Yes, we do find this lapse very much, and we will come to that as to why we are unfortunately still following the talk and the chalk method continuously, which is boring the children, and students are not getting stimulated to want to learn. Yes, absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your responses. Yes, sir.
Madam, one submission.
Yes, Mr. Kumar, sir. Cheppandi.
Namaste, madam. I am Dr. S.O. Kumar. I am also with Uma Maheshwari madam in the same department, same college. I would like to share my views at this juncture.
Okay.
Madam, you raised that question. You posed that question. Are you happy with the present education system? What I feel is the emotional involvement is missing, both on the part of the learned and the learner. These are my observations only. 2, the innateness is also absolutely missing. 3, teaching is taking place only for the sake of teaching, not with the innate motto of transforming the personality or transforming the mindset of the learner, either in the rural areas or in the urban areas, either in the private schools or institutions or in the government institutions. Only superficially teaching is taking place, coupled with the modern technological ICT gadgets and tools and all. This has become more superficial. What I mean to say is absolute naturality is missing. 30-40 years ago, for example, I studied in a remote government school. The Telugu poems or the Hindi poems that I learned 40 years ago, I still remember because I learned them innately, naturally, because the teaching system was so natural, so penetrating, so powerful, so impact causing. And for the present change, what I feel is the drastic change, the artificial and the superficial impact is because of the much grown impact of the technological changes and technological devices and all. As man is alienating himself from nature, so the artificial practices and artificial systems are not causing, are not providing, are not improving the natural growth of mind and natural growth of knowledge base systems. So this is my observation, madam. Yeah, some children now expressed that they are happy. They are happy because they are in the present system. They are under the impact of the technological devices and all. But innately speaking, nobody is happy with the present system of education. Thank you,
Yes.
madam.
So Kumar Garu, I think you have said so well. I think you should actually take the talk. You've said everything that I had to say. Wonderfully said and wonderfully expressed. So yes, what I would just like to share with all of you is I am trying personally myself as an educationist to try to, look at I feel the real problem lies in the goals and the aims of education. You see, it depends on, what is, educational institutions generally serve a purpose, isn't it? And that purpose is what exactly we need to review, and we need to redefine that purpose. So we need to ask ourselves, time and again, why we are running schools or colleges or universities. Why are we in this profession of teaching in the first place? Why are we teachers? Why have we taken up this profession as teachers? And, what are our expectations from students? So unless we raise these questions, this becomes very critical to the health of the educational institutions, that we need to constantly, keep asking ourselves and raising these questions. So if we look at generally the prevalent goal of education today, what happens is that, what we shall sow, that we shall reap. This is a kind of a, quotation which we all know in life. It's very often used in many contexts. So if education is purely for the sake of, the employability of a person, or to just for employment, to kind of, not think, as you just now said, Mr. Kumar Garu, about the transformational aspect of an individual. And if it is meant only for, ensuring that students get into some kind of jobs, and not even some kind, the jobs which is going to fetch them the maximum amount of, money, to be very blunt about it. So what do we see? We see that the center of gravity, I would call it the center of gravity of all education institutions, is only towards wanting or enabling students to create wealth for, not even wealth, I would just say money for themselves, because wealth is a bigger concept of being rich. That would actually include a richness of a personality. So it is not even that, it is purely for bigger kind of bank balances, we can say. So if that is the center of gravity, then that is exactly the kind of output, so earlier Satish Garu talked about the outcome, what is the end of outcome? And some of the others also spoke that one of the parents said the same thing, that when we, after spending so much money, we are neither finding the students having the right skill sets for being employable, nor are they having the qualities, the values, the wisdom of being able to live a life which is grounded, and which is connected to their environment, to their family, to the country, to the world, to the welfare of the country. So hence, if schools continue to exist in isolation from real life, if we are not trying to think of the development of a human being, and we are not preparing students for life, it's becoming kind of a time of 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years max for education to happen, so that they can acquire degrees in their hands and then get into some kind of a job. And the job is always in terms of the choice of the job is only in terms of which one is going to make them to be rich, not thinking of whether it interests them, whether they're capable of doing, if they can really sustain their interest, their enthusiasm of getting up every day in the morning and jumping into, into wanting to really get to work. They are not excited about work. It is purely in terms of the fact that, yes, it is a means to bring bread onto your table. bread and butter, and hopefully if we can bring butter onto the table along with the bread, well and good, but at least that part of it is the only thing. If that is what is the only concentration, then we really need not ask these questions of whether it's the education systems are something which are satisfying or not, because we reap what we sow. Because if the end is purely in terms of making money, then the system, the current conventional system, is something which is okay. Because what is it that we are trying to do? We are trying to make sure that children get optimal marks in their exams. It is completely exam driven. It is not driven in terms of trying to hone their skills and the capabilities and the abilities for them to be able to really, as Aurobindo calls it, to train the powers of the mind. Okay. So if we choose to continue, please mute yourself. Umameshwar Garu, can you please tell them to mute themselves? Yes. So the question of the goal of life also actually makes us to start thinking about, the question of what is life meant for, So obviously the education is connected to a life of a human being, and that's what it should be. It cannot be purely isolated. So if we truly believe that there is a greater purpose, that we need to go beyond, beyond the industrial mindset of conventional education, and if we choose to kind of continue to remain in the same paradigm, the materialistic paradigm of what is going to get us in terms of, the good jobs, lucrative and, very, very fat salaries, then we should not complain about the unease or the dissatisfaction or lack of ethical and spiritual values in our present times. So we need not feel disturbed over the present scenario, because what happens is it is the law of the jungle, isn't it? The survival of the fittest. Whoever is going to be able to, be able to master the art of making the money best, then those kind of people are going to be, the ones who are going to be dominating the society, and that's what we see around them. So we see the people who are really interested in other things of life, they are not able to so-called succeed, because, the education has not taught them that end of the day, there has to be a life which has to be led in terms of a certain quality and a certain value. And just now, before I started this speech, you read the lines of Savitri. Sri Aurobindo's clear message, what is his message? To make, human life into life divine. Now, how can we think of a life divine when our entire goals is just trying to aggrandize more and more wealth for ourselves, and is purely in terms of a selfish end? So where is the question of making life human into life divine? And to really go back to what Sri Aurobindo himself says, he says this entire preoccupation of human beings, for primarily physical comfort, physical satiety or physical enjoyment, because what does money bring us? A kind of a lifestyle which is very, very comfortable. And if the common boy and the girl from the village, from the town, from the city, what is their dream? What is their end dream? If you go and ask them, what do you want to become? They want to be so rich that they are so comfortable. And what is happening, unfortunately? Science is such a powerful tool, but as somebody said, the ICT and the digital world, and this whole science, which, today is adding to this whole sense of making yourself more and more comfortable. You see, everything that our grandparents did by a lot of effort, we are able to succeed doing it in few minutes. So what is happening is we are forgetting that joy, the joy that comes out of making a certain effort. Effort itself is lost to human experience. Everything has to come easy. Everything has to be making us more and more and more comfortable. So what Sri Aurobindo, calls this, he uses very strong words. He says that this is like, this is the age of barbarism, he calls it. This is like wanting to, get back into something which he calls that civilized barbarians. We are just, we are wearing suits and we are trying to have big houses and fancy cars and fancy everything. But human nature is going back to that sense of barbarism, because that is a pure indulgence that we are into. So an affluent and comfortable lifestyle is the dream of every youth. Now, if this is the center of gravity, everything gravitates towards this goal, and so will education gravitate towards this goal. So where, as Mr. Agarwal, you said, how do we expect your child to be either connected to his environment or have the basic skill sets? Because the whole thrust is to, wanting to by any means to make the child to have good marks, to be able to, kind of purely through an ability to memorize and to recall, to reproduce the answers without having digested and understood and having the skill sets to be able to use the powers of his mind, to use his imagination, his analysis, his reasoning, his judgment. All that is not, trained. What is trained is purely his recall, ability to recall and to be able to answer the questions well, so that he can get good marks and tomorrow he can get into a good college. But nobody and no education has taught him to really, as one of you said, to be able to transform his life into something meaningful. You see, so this is where the real problem lies. And what is it that, let's come to the fact that if we look at every human being in this world, and we are talking of education, you see, what is common? What is common in all human beings? First thing, we all obviously have something which, we all have a life, but unfortunately, very, very few in society have an aim and goal in life. The aim and goal is what the mother says is so essential to direct our life to becoming something meaningful. Otherwise, what is the goal? The goal is to become rich. If that is the only goal, as I said, there is no discussion about, the purpose of education at all. But the first important thing, we all have a life. Every human being on this earth has a life, but we lack a goal. So that is an important thing that we need to first, ensure that the educational institutions and educational bodies, whether schools, colleges, universities, make children and the youth to become more reflective about what they really want to become. Their short-term goals, their long-term goals. It is not that, we don't want them to get a good job. It's absolutely essential that everybody survives with a good standard of life. But is that the end and be all of life? These are the questions which need to be raised. Now, the second thing which is common to every human being, and one of the students said that education lacks, academics is not, the education institutions do not address themselves to the development of the body. Well, I'm sorry to, say this, that even all those of us who are present in this, webinar, how many of us are really taking care of ourselves, care of our own body? We take it for granted. You see, we just take it for granted that God has given us a body, and there are some persons who are called doctors who are going to take care of us, and we don't need to know anything about our body. What is good for me? What is creating a problem in my system? What is the food which is suiting me, which is not suiting me? Why do I get a headache? All this the doctor will know. Why should I know? What awareness do we have? So much of science has been built on the human body, but how many of us are coming up with a certain discipline which makes us to be fit human citizens? Our levels of energy, is it sustained through the day for our work? Why is it that we feel lazy? Why is it that we feel lethargic? Why aren't we addressing concerns of what is good? Fitness is again, slowly it is coming up increasingly. But as one of the students said, they need physical education in education institutions. We need to give it equal importance. Why is it that we are not giving it? That is again something common to every human being, but we are not addressing that. That is not constituting what is education. Third aspect, you see, all of us have multiple, when we say we have a life, it means that we are human beings with full of feelings and emotions. Okay. Do I know when? And every day when we get up in the morning, obviously none of us want to get irritated or angry. But in the slightest pretext, we lose our sense of balance, our sense of, being, good to others, kind to others. We are either getting irritated or angry or jealous, or we are afraid what's going to happen to us. we are always so caught up in negative emotions because we don't know, we have not been taught. Education has not addressed the whole kind of importance of learning about why we feel in a certain way, what is causing those negative feelings to arise in me as a human being. We have not education doesn't deal with trying to really be observant about emotions and trying to find the cause behind these emotions which disturb us. And of course, finally, when we speak about every human being having a mind. But again, I'm sorry again to say, despite all of us here on this platform being in the field of education, we limit our reading only to our own subject or limited to acquiring a degree or to, once we acquire a degree, limited only to the framework within which we need to function as a teacher or a lecturer or a professor. How much more are we open to learning? We are not learners anymore. Once we get into some medical kind of, profession, we will still limit our search. We are not in quest of the ultimate knowledge and the wisdom, which is going to be able to have the power to transform us as human beings. So we need to really have the quest for, more and more increasing knowledge and wisdom in our lives. So I have covered everything which integral education concerns itself with. That is what the mother speaks about, the fivefold education. Integral education concerns itself with the development of the body, the development of the vital or the emotions, which consist about the development of the aesthetic sensibility, as well as the development of values and qualities in a human being. When we speak about mental education, Aurobindo talks about the training of the human faculties. Okay, he is not talking about purely content. Content is not even the basis on which the education kind of structure can stand upon, which unfortunately the Macaulayan, entire practice of the conventional education today is based upon, in terms of loading loading information into the child's mind. And what is the result? We all forget. After exams, we forget everything that we've learned. We have not been trained in the tools for which education should be trained. Mental education should train the ability to observe, to concentrate, to be attentive, to compare contrast, to apply, to reason, to judge, to imagine. These are the faculties. If they are trained, then a child placed in any jobs can do well, because any kind of work, end of the day, really needs these powers of the mind. So these are the things we need to understand, and the most important in terms of the goal of life. We need to really think deeply about the goals of life. Okay. Now, how does all this link with NAP? Because my topic has been that how is NAP drawing upon integral education? Now, this is where, very interestingly, we need to understand that for the first time, we see, of course, there have been other educational policies, but never has educational policies based themselves on this kind of a national educational perspective. And this is for the first time that we see it in a very bold and a very open manner, that the NAP 2020, really is very productive and very much aligned to the holistic development of the child. Okay. And I would like to quote, because you see, when we said NAP being a source, integral education being a source to NAP, I would like to read out what our Honorable Prime Minister himself has said. In December 1906, over 116 years back, this is not what, to quote the Honorable Prime Minister's words in Mann Ki Baat on November 29th, 2020, he said, I'm quoting his words, Sri Aurobindo had a clear vision on education. He did not limit education to only bookish knowledge, degree, and employment. Sri Aurobindo said, our national education should be training of heart and mind of our youth. It means mind should be scientifically developed and heart should have Indian spirit, then only a youth can be a better citizen. Whatever Sri Aurobindo said about national education at that time, and this is something that I unquote, Sri Aurobindo said, in 1906, over 116 years back to be precise, he wrote, as a part of the nationalist group that he formed, which he proposed to the Congress, he said Swaraj was its goal, and Swadeshi boycott and national education was going to be an effective means of realizing Swaraj. These are the words of, this is what Sri Aurobindo did in 1906. So that is why the Prime Minister is saying, I quote again, whatever Sri Aurobindo said about national education at that time, what expectation he had, the country is accomplishing that through the new educational policy. Now, it can't be any clearer than this of how NEP draws its primary inspiration and thought from the principles of national education laid down by Sri Aurobindo in his essay, the preface to national education, later printed in 1920. Now, look at the ironical thing, 100 years back Sri Aurobindo has written this, and it has taken 100 years for the nation to wake up, to really, go back to the commitment for a national education. And I will quote what Sri Aurobindo said. He said very clearly in his essay, whatever the difficulty of giving it shape, that is a national education, it is an education proper to the Indian soul and need and temperament and culture that we are in quest of, but to the developing soul of India, to her future need, to the greatness of her coming self-creation, to her eternal spirit. Now, national education policy very interestingly seems to resonate with a similar kind of, a goal to its entire design and curriculum of NEP, its entire policy, I should say. You see, it completely endorses the high aims and objectives of integral education. And I will quote what NEP says. It says, NEP states its purpose to develop good human beings capable of rational thought and action, possessing compassion and empathy, courage and resilience, scientific temper, and creative imagination with sound ethical moorings and values. You see, so it lays great emphasis on the holistic approach through the all-round development of the personality of the individual. So all aspects, NEP covers, my dear friends, the young students who said this, NEP 2020 covers all aspects of the development of human personality, right from the physical development, physical education, the concept of fitness, how importantly every educational institution should offer programs of physical development. Then it is able to integrate, it is able to offer many possibilities of co-curricular activities. Okay. Some of you, you said, one of you said that co-curricular is something which is absent. NEP 2020 is very strongly coming in onto saying that, co-curricular, that is, whether you are in science, you need to take the subjects of arts. And if you are in arts, you should be able to take subjects of science. There's a lot of flexibility that it is able to really come up with encouraging. So in the future, there is going to be not this watertight compartments between science and arts, so all kind of subjects, are going to be able to be, available for the student to develop himself as a complete whole person. And then of course, on an intellectual side, it is talking about the content not being as important as the fact that how the children are taught the content, the fact that, it has to be really able to, the students have to be able to really come up with an ability to reason, to analyze, to apply their knowledge. The applicability of what they're learning is going to be given a lot more importance. Okay. So, I would like to quote one more thing which I have really appreciated, in terms of what the national education policy says, because it is very much resonant to what Aurobindo says in relation to the education being rooted in India and Indian culture. The education NEP's core vision says, I read it, the national education policy envisions an education system rooted in Indian ethos that contributes directly to transforming India, that is Bharat, sustainably into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society by providing high quality education to all and thereby making India a global knowledge superpower. And beautifully, I continue with the quotation, I'm reading it out. It says, the vision of the policy is to instill among the learners deep-rooted pride in being Indian, not only in thought, but also in spirit, intellect, and deeds, as well as to develop knowledge, skills, values, and dispositions that support responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development and living and global well-being, thereby a true global citizens. So you see, the development is not only on an individual level, it is on a national level as well as on a global level. But it is not, the education here is definitely not prescriptive in its approach. It is completely developmental in its approach. It is talking about a transformation of the human being. Once the children come out of educational institutions, they have to be enabled and empowered to really take the responsibility of changing themselves, to be able to be in harmony with their environment and to be able to be a true citizen of the country and to be able to really, also be connected to the entire world. Because Sri Aurobindo, what does he say? He says, it must be an education that for the individual will make its one central object the growth of the soul and its powers and possibilities. At no time will it lose sight of man's highest object, the awakening and development of his spiritual being. Subaragaru, can you please mute yourself?
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So as I said, just last sentence, very important. At no time will it lose sight of man's highest object, the awakening and development of his spiritual being. So you see, this is the emphasis Sri Aurobindo is giving, and NEP is also endorsing the same. It is drawing its inspiration from not only Sri Aurobindo's national education, the integrated education vision, but it draws upon, upon the real true wisdom of India. And what does NEP say? Sometimes I wonder how closely NEP has taken upon all the principles that Sri Aurobindo has mentioned in this essay. Because look at what NEP again says. It says, I'm reading it, I'm quoting NEP now, the rich heritage of ancient Indian knowledge and thought has been a guiding light for this policy. The pursuit of knowledge, Gnan, wisdom, Pragya, and truth, Satya, was always considered in Indian thought and philosophy as the highest human goal. The aim of education in ancient India was not just the acquisition of knowledge as preparation for life in this world or life beyond schooling. Now please mark the last words, but for the complete realization and liberation of the self. Look at what NEP does. It's going to the most profoundest wisdom of Indian, Indian learning, the Indian educational, kind of ways. The fact that end of the day, education should enable every individual to be able to realize and liberate, to be able to find his self. I mean, what greater goals can we re-establish now? So this is a great time to be in, and at least I as an academician foresee that this possibilities, there's so much of possibilities in being able to walk the right path now, to be able to really, there is a sense of a renaissance of Indian spirituality in education again, where we are looking at the human being not purely as a human being with a body, life and mind, but we are addressing the real truth, which is the human being, an individual with a soul, and the need for every individual to become conscious of this journey of the soul through life, and to be able to really try to discover himself and herself, as to who one is, what are our interests, what is our purpose, what is our goals in life, to be really able to optimally gain from the kind of education that it provides. You see? So I'm running out of time. I will not, because I have so many things to be able to show how NEP actually is very closely linked with integral education, and in every different, whether it is the main, what you call the goals of education, the aims of education, the fact that, the education has to really address the all-round development of students. Even NEP has spoken at great length about assessment of a student, how it has to be holistic, how it has to be complete, and not purely, base the whole education system on the talk and chalk method, and to really try to make the child to be interested, to really be able to stimulate his interest in learning. You see, that is again something very beautifully NEP also says. And that is where it lays great importance on teachers. The fact that teachers have to own up this great responsibility of being able to be the first learners. Unless the teachers are lifelong learners, how do we expect children and students to have the quest for knowledge? It would just not be possible for children to be, to also be, to have curiosity, to have that, innate, urge to explore, to know and to learn. All this is possible only when we are able to re-look into and redefine for ourselves what is the true purpose of education. Okay. So as I said, thank you again, Uma Maheshwarji, for giving me this wonderful opportunity, for being able to share a few thoughts about how NEP has drawn from Sri Aurobindo's, principles of national education, as well as how closely it is very, it is very much aligned to the vision of integral education.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Would you like some time for the interaction, madam?
Yes, I'm okay for that.
Yes, please. The platform is now open. You can interact with madam if you have any doubts and questions to be raised.
Yes, so thank you for the lovely talk, ma'am. I had this doubt. As we are saying, we are introducing the national education policy with this aim, for the holistic development and progress of the student. But finally, what happens during implementation is that is what we need to really worry about. Because I tell you the example, like I studied from the state board, Maharashtra State Board, SSC. That was more based on rote learning. We had this textbook published by the Maharashtra State Board, and we used to appear for the state board exam. And it still continues to be like that. Then there was another board introduced, ICSE. It was supposed to be project-based learning, and the children, instead of doing rote learning, they would actually work on projects, and they would gain knowledge like that. But eventually the whole concept again, it was towards rote learning only. That is what I have seen, because not only my son, but many of my relatives, their children also, who have been into ICSE board. So it was again back to rote learning, and I did not see any difference finally coming out of this changing of some kind of system. And now that there is so much thrust on the international baccalaureate, where the children work on assignments, it's, then there are various grades of difficulty, the high level, medium, the child can choose to. But again, in the Indian context, I've seen the international baccalaureate system also getting, twisted to the same rote learning kind of things. So finally, this is the worry that in spite of the noble objective that an NAP will try to achieve, the implementation, how it will happen in spirit finally.
Yes, Mr. Agarwal, very important and relevant point you are making. But you please understand this, that you see, the government can come up with policies. It cannot be, kind of, as you very rightly said, how will it percolate down towards, really translating it into action is something which is in question. But please understand that, you see, till now, even the objectives were not in place. As I said, we were very much into the Macaulayan legacy of being able to, we are still very much in that hangover of being able to come up with an English education which is going to fetch jobs. That's why I have been constantly insisting that we need to be very clear about what the goals and objectives of education is. Now, only when those are revised, those are kind of, what you call, we redefine the purpose of education, that you cannot expect teachers or the management of schools to change the nature or the methodology of what they are doing. Because end of the day, what is the race? You spoke about ICSE. Well, I'm the principal of the ICSE school. I run an ICSE school. So whether it's a CBSE school or whether it's an ICSE school or whether it's a state school, these are only boards, which are going to give you different kind of methods to be able to teach the children. Maybe, slightly this way, that way, and making it a little more, child-centered one, if one can really claim that to be. Because child-centered means what? Today, NAP in national education, of what Aurobindo spoke about, and integrated education is completely child-centric, because it is talking of developing the child in an integral manner. So obviously, if that is the real goal, that the children have to be developed in an integral manner, it is only then if that is something where the management or the educational institutions are convinced that that is the very objective of education, then by default the mechanism will have to change, the methods will have to change, because the attitude towards teaching will change. Now the teaching is purely to ensure that children get good marks. So the complete compromise in providing children the true kind of development. Okay. So, but having said that, NAP is what, 2020, now we're in 2022. There are hundreds and different institutions, just like, just now the college, the university that we are, part of, the webinar. Why is it that we are generating this discussion? Because there is a huge interest. There is definitely an innate interest in wanting to realign education to the true purpose of what it should serve in terms of trying to develop a human being. So it's going to take some time, and we need to, but we just need to make sure. See, as parents also, this is what most parents are looking for. Why is it that most parents force children to get into the science stream, or into IT? Because we looking into the capabilities or the interests or the calling of children into what they really want to become. So the entire center of gravity, if it is purely in terms of a materialistic kind of a living, which is going to be more and more, affluent, then education cannot do much, because then education the aims of society, and the aims of society also influences what schools, how schools should function. So we need to look at it through a bigger picture. So all the boards that you have spoken about, they are just the means to be able to achieve a certain end of education. But the ends have to be questioned. All this while, it's a different purpose. And that is why we brought in this high and noble ideals, as you called it. They cannot be just high and noble ideals anymore. They have to become part of our lives and part of our experience of every student. It is only then that the human being, the possibility of change can happen. Okay.
And one more question that comes to me, this is very important, especially in big cities, is the concept of career counseling. Now, every 9th and 10th standard student is taken to a career counselor, and they charge hefty fees in thousands, 10, 20, 30, 40,000. And the whole outcome of this career counseling process is the child undergoes through a psychometric assessment test. It's a computer-based test. And based on some certain parameters, his personality and other attributes are identified. And then the career counselor uses his personal judgment as per his interview with the child. And then he comes out with the various best options for his career, whether he should be engineer, doctor, or whatever, and that's what, whether a lawyer or chartered accountant. And right now it's like, almost all parents are taking the child for this kind of counseling process. But yeah, again, how do we see NEP helping out parents here? At what stage parents will be able to see which is the right path the child should be taking towards?
No, see, Mr. Agarwal, you should please understand, yes, the problem is, you see, we don't take the time or the patience to really, have an interaction with the child, or we don't try to make the child to observe his own, calling or his own interest, nor does the parent really take time to do that. We are always dependent on so-called professionals to decide what the child is good at or not. All the psychometric tests and all that, okay, to some extent, they would be able to indicate your abilities and your capacities, okay? But I think that it has to be something more personal, and that part of it, the parent also shirks the responsibility of being able to really, handhold the child and trying to have an interaction and a communication to really figure out what they want. Because you see, all this is something where constant dependence on some other source to find out what you really want to do in life. That's exactly where the problem lies. And that is what Aurobindo and the mother always say, that we have to enable children to start reflecting right from kindergarten. We have something called a self-reflective, sheet in our school, where the child is able to, observe his own, kind of day in terms of, whether he has completed his physical kind of responsibilities, why has he felt happy or unhappy. And then, as the child grows into higher grades, the whole reflection sheet becomes a little more complex. What am I saying is that what the mother laid a lot of importance to is the ability to observe oneself. Today, as I said, we don't even know why we get a headache. Why does the doctor have to know why we get a headache or a stomachache? We are so ignorant about ourselves. And at the very basis of Indian education is the knowledge of the self. If we are not going to make the children and the students and ourselves, that's what I said, first responsibility is of the adults, of the teachers, of the lecturers, of the professors. How much of our own self are we aware of? This is at the very basis of the true Indian education. And this is being again brought back through the principles of what NEP talks about. We need to address this. You see, it's not an easy way. It is not NEP. Also, just like, people think into education will be a little bag of do's and don'ts, certain methods, certain strategies. And if we are able to apply that, the whole education system will change. No, I'm sorry, education will not change at all. Because into education concept, the vision is a change in attitude. NEP also is talking of a change in attitude towards education. Unless the attitude changes, education cannot change. Unless teacher takes the responsibilities of changing himself or herself, education cannot change. There are no shortcuts. Unless parents change, there is no shortcuts to children becoming the best possible, versions of themselves. We need to take the onus of change. There is no ready-made change out there. NEP also doesn't offer that. And into education definitely doesn't. So let me make it very clear. This is what my, humble submission is, that this is what Aurobindo is trying to convey. There has to be a paradigm shift between what we understand the child's education to be all about, what life is all about. If it is purely, as I said, in terms of making money, then all this discussion is useless. Then the present education system is fine. The talk and chalk method is fine. Today, instead of talk and chalk method, you smart classes, you have technology coming in, you have internet, you have the digital medium, which can replace any lecturer, any teacher. Google is far, 100 times better than what a teacher can teach the children. Let's just get into that. What is the need of teachers? What is the need of schools? You see, so the entire thing, Mr. Agarwal, you need to understand, it has to change inside out. The outside cannot change if the inside doesn't change. This is the mistake that we are making. We are looking for change in the outside without taking responsibility of the change within ourselves. And this is a strong message that integrated education gives. And NEP is very, very interestingly, it endorses that same kind of direction. That is the direction that it has taken upon itself. Others, please? Anybody else?
Yes, please. Anybody
Madam.
else? Yes.
Madam.
Yes, Kumar sir. Cheppandi.
Madam, at the outset, I profusely thank you for a bold expression of your views as part of your talk. What I feel, madam, is unfortunately or fortunately, ironically, our whole systems are turning into package systems. Our democracy is being turned into a package system. Voters are made paid voters. Our education system is also being turned into a package system. What is the fees? 2 lakh per annum. Oh, 2 lakh. Does it include everything? Yeah, it includes AC and everything. If the fee is low, the parents and others feel very dissipated. So every system is being turned into a package system. When that is the case, we cannot expect the natural growth of knowledge, the holistic growth of knowledge or personality. As I observed earlier, tragically, the transformational aspect of learner is missing absolutely. This is because of this change. What I feel is, if the entire education system is made public, that means brought under government control, I think to some extent a solution can be found. Now there is a huge divide, a great division is taking place between the learners who are getting educated in private, global or corporate type of schools and the rural learners or the learners who are getting educated in some small time or low paid schools, etc. So if a drastic step, if a stringent action, if a perfect national level act is brought or enacted in the parliament, that to that effect, that entire education system, actually Kothari Commission says, one of the strong recommendations of the Kothari Commission is that free education should be provided to all the children between the age group of 6 and 14. Now, ironically, that is nowhere now. So, to some extent, the panacea, the better solution for this problem is absolutely a national level act, that is entire education system should be under government control only. Okay, let other fields, let there be, for example, health system and other systems may be existing in the private sector. At least education system, if brought under completely under government control, I think to some extent we will get.
Yes, Kumar sir. Kumar sir, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I don't think that's the solution. Nothing on an external front can make much of a difference until the mindset of people change. You see, that might be just an additional kind of means for certain things to be implemented in a more regulated fashion. But that will not ensure, then, we are trying to impose things where people are not ready. So the awareness has to come in people from, again, inside out. The whole mindset has to change.
Yes,
then only education can change.
That is also correct.
As you said, only the outer structure part of it change. As Mr. Agarwal said, one board, other board, this board, now NEP. No, even tomorrow, everybody, it's not that, in the government sector, the teachers are more conscious or more capable of understanding that, this whole true purpose of education. They are the same people, sir. Whether you are in the government or whether you're in the private, we are all same people. So let us not talk about external changes. It might definitely add some kind of possibility of regulating things in a better fashion, where it can be more uniform in the country, which I accept. But at the same time, that will not bring the true change. You see, whether it's in spirituality or in education or anything, Sri Aurobindo and the mother always will say the change has to come from within. Each one of us has to take the decision and the responsibility of the change from within, and then the outer will settle in accordance and in proportion to the change that we are happening within us. So we are always again looking at very quick fixes within another 5 years, another 10 years. No, it will take a lot of time, because for the change to happen in ourselves is going to take a lot of time. So by the time the change is happening, definitely. But we are all, Mr. Kumar, I really appreciate what you are saying, because you see, there are people like you in this educational kind of, universities and colleges. It's already there.
I strongly agree with you, madam. I mentioned this point vociferously because you are referring to NEP 2020. NEP 2020 says that languages and Indian rootedness should also be given equal importance.
Yes.
And there is a national research fund also, which will provide.
I did not go through all my points, because I said there's n number of points which show parallels between what Sri Aurobindo speaks for lack of time. But yes, I agree with you, sir. Lot of importance given to the vernacular, and today they are saying that you can learn engineering and medicine also in your mother tongue. Even that the government is ready to kind of provide. So great changes. It's able to really extend lot of changes, which definitely is going to revolutionize education in our country. But my humble, kind of submission is going back to what Sri Aurobindo says, that the paradigm has to be shifted, has to shift from what the main goals and purposes of education is. If it is purely commercial, if it is purely, in terms of employability, then there is nothing will change. Nothing at all will change. Then, as I said, you perfect the Macaulayan, system of education which has been passed to us from 1835. Let us perfect it, and let us, like an industry, produce all this kind of students who are going to be excellent in being able to, score marks. Now, even there is an inflation in marks. Children are getting 95, 98, 99, 100. Imagine what life they're going to lead. They can't see beyond it. Tomorrow, those children don't know what failure is, and they commit suicide. They think the entire life they're going to gain 100%. What is this kind of education? Imagine a child is made to think that he's 98, what pressure the child is feeling. It is, I don't know what the education system is doing. So much of inflation of marks. I think that we were students, 60, 70 was the optimal marks we should get. How come today children are getting 98, 99, 100? What next, sir? What next? Tomorrow the child goes into some other, grade, whichever, +2 and degree. Parents are always believing and expecting him to be there at that level. Is it possible? And if it's not possible, the child commits suicide. What is this rubbish? So in every way, we are getting into blind alleys which are just creating havoc, because our footing is wrong, sir. Our entire paradigm is wrong. It is on its head. It has to be now put on its base. The triangle has to come back on its base.
Thank you, madam.
Yes,
thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. I think you are.
It's okay. Thank you very much for this interactive mode, madam. Thank you. And now I request Shobha madam to propose out of thanks for the madam's lecture.
Today's excellency and eminent speaker of this session, Dr. Chelamai Reddy ma'am. I wish you once again a very good afternoon to you and one and all. I thank to Uma ma'am for giving this opportunity to propose my vote of thanks. On behalf of English department, I express my heartfelt thanks to you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Hello. Madam, thank you. Thank you very much for this wonderful lecture and connecting us with that.
And how it gives way to the intellectual channel in decision making, and how education is important through the teaching of Sri Aurobindo. And I thank you, ma'am, for your valuable message for giving us. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Just one request, Umameshwarji, is that if students, because even I would have liked like Anandbhai to interact with students, but If they have any questions and if you can share them with me, I'll be very happy to respond to them in writing.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
I had the good opportunity for some of the seniors, Kumar Garu and Satish Garu and others, parents like Agarwal and others to have responded, but I would very much be happy to know what is in the mind of students.
Yes.
And I will be very happy to respond to them.
I'll definitely let you know, madam.
Thank you so
They are a
much.
bit shy to respond, madam.
Yes, but definitely I'll be there too. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, madam. Thank you. And to start the next session, our keynote speaker of the next session, Professor Damodar Garu, is also ready. He has joined just now. Damodar sir.
Namaste.
Welcome, sir. It might unmute yourself for some time. Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Rajesh sir, is Narsaya sir ready?
Ma'am, yeah.
Narsaya sir ready?
Sir is also ready, ma'am.
Himabindo madam joined?
Yeah, our principal is beside me.
How about Himabindo madam? She's there?
She has not joined, madam, so far.
Okay.
She hasn't joined.
Just a minute, please.
Sir, madam, I joined.
Okay, madam. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Sir, I welcome you all to this last session, that is, in general it is 8th session, but for day 2 it is the 4th session, that is valedictory session. I welcome you all once again for this 2-day national webinar on Sri Aurobindo's, on the occasion of Sri Aurobindo's sesquicentennial birth anniversary celebrations and Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And the topic was Sri Aurobindo, the poet and the nationalist. And for this, I welcome Dr. Narsaya Garu to preside over the valedictory session of the webinar.
Ma'am.
Is he ready? Okay. I request Professor G. Damodar Garu, Vice Chancellor, Chaitanya deemed to be University, Hanmakonda, as the chief guest of the valedictory session and keynote speaker of the session. Thank you very much, sir, for coming.
Thank you.
And now I request Himabindu Madam, our Vice Principal Madam, SRR Government Arts and Science College, Autonomous Karimnagar, as guest of honor to this valedictory session. And now I request Dr. Narsaya Garu to speak a few words regarding this webinar. Namaste, sir.
Respected Principal of SRR,
network problem, I think.
Yes, sir. Rajesh, sir, is there any problem?
Niruparani madam, namaste. How are you, madam? Parshuram Rao garu. How are you, sir?
Rajesh, sir.
I am Dr. Narsaya. అందులోనే వర్క్ చేయడం అనేది 2012 టు 2018 వరకు నేను వర్క్ చేశాను. సో అటానమస్ అనేది వచ్చినది అనగానే నేను అనుకుంటున్నాను ఐ ఆమ్ ద ఫస్ట్ పర్సన్ టు బిలీవ్ రీచ్డ్ అవర్ కాలేజ్ అచీవ్మెంట్స్. ఏ గ్రేడ్ వచ్చేంత వరకు అహర్నిశలు పనిచేస్తూ శ్రీ ఫిజిక్స్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్కి చెందిన ఇన్ఛార్జ్ ప్రిన్సిపల్ గారు ఆధ్వర్యంలో నేను ఫిజిక్స్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్కి హెచ్ఓడిగా వర్క్ చేస్తూ అందరినీ కోఆర్డినేట్ చేస్తూ ఆల్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్స్ కష్టపడి పనిచేసి ఏ గ్రేడ్ ఇవ్వడానికి నేను అందులో ఒక వ్యక్తిని. శ్రీ నితిన్ గారి ఆధ్వర్యంలో ఏ గ్రేడ్ తెచ్చిపెట్టాము. తర్వాత వెంటనే మన డాక్టర్ రామకృష్ణ గారు ప్రిన్సిపాల్గా వచ్చి అటానమస్ సక్సెస్ చేసినందుకు వారికి మా డిపార్ట్మెంట్ తరఫున, అంటే ఎస్ఆర్ఆర్ కాలేజ్ ఫిజిక్స్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ తరఫున నేను గర్వంగా వివరిస్తూ వారికి కృతజ్ఞతలు తెలుపుతున్నాను. ఇప్పుడు ఉన్న ప్రతి ఫ్యాకల్టీ మెంబర్స్ కూడా మాకు బ్రదర్స్ అండ్ సిస్టర్స్, అందరి కృషి ఫలితం మేము ఏ తెచ్చి పెట్టాము మీరు కంప్లీట్గా అటానమస్ చేసి పెట్టారు. అందుకు అందరికీ ధన్యవాదాలు చెప్తున్నాను. సో ఎస్ఆర్ఆర్ కాలేజీ అటానమస్ అయింది అని అంటే నేనైతే చాలా గర్వంగా ఫీల్ అయ్యాను. సార్కు ఫోన్ కనెక్ట్ చేస్తే కూడా అది డిస్టర్బెన్స్లో నేను ఎక్కువ మాట్లాడలేకపోయాను. మొన్న కూడా మనము నిన్నటి దానిలో కూడా నిన్నటి మీటింగ్లో కూడా మన సెలబ్రేషన్ ఆఫ్ అరబిందో ఘోష్ గారి రచనలు, ఆయనకు వచ్చిన భాషలు ఇవన్నీ సరిగా ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేయలేకపోయినాను. బికాస్ ఆఫ్ అక్కడ మన బాస్ కమిషనర్ గారు కూర్చున్నారు. అయినప్పటికీ నేను బాగానే స్పీక్ చేశాను అనుకుంటున్నాను. నవీన్ మిట్టల్ ఐఏఎస్ గారు మనకు కమిషనర్గా వచ్చినప్పటి నుంచి అంతకుముందు మనం బుక్లలో పేజీలలో, తర్వాత ఈ సెల్ ఫోన్స్ అనేవి లేవు, అప్పుడు బుక్లలో రాసేవాళ్ళం ప్రతిదీ. ఇప్పుడు ఈవెన్ డైరీ కూడా మనకు డిజిటల్లో నింపుతున్నామంటే మనము టెక్నికల్గా చాలా ఎదిగామని భావిస్తున్నాం. కాబట్టి ఈ రచనలు అనేటివి ఘోష్ గారి ఈ స్పిరిచువల్ ఏదైతే ఉందో తను చేసిన రచనలు విధానాలు చాలా గొప్పవి. అవి మనకు కమిషనర్ సార్ క్లియర్గా చెప్పారు. కాబట్టి అందరూ దాని గురించి మనకు వివరంగా వివరించారు సార్. సో నేను ఈరోజు తీసుకునేది ఏంటంటే, ఈ సందర్భంగా మాటలు ఏంటంటే, మనకి ఘోష్ గారే కాకుండా తనకు అనుచరులుగా ఉన్న వాళ్ళందరూ, తర్వాత పార్టిసిపెంట్స్, ఇది చాలా మంచి టాపిక్. ఇంత మంచి టాపిక్ ఎన్నుకున్నందుకు మా డిపార్ట్మెంటు, తర్వాత మాకు కొలాబరేషన్ ఇచ్చిన ఎస్ఆర్ఆర్ కాలేజ్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ వాళ్ళందరికీ నేను పాదాభివందనం చేస్తున్నాను. ఎందుకంటే ఇట్ ఈస్ ద గుడ్ టాపిక్. సార్ కూడా చాలా మాట్లాడారు. సార్ అయితే పర్సనల్గా ఐ విజిటెడ్ దేర్ అని మాటలు చెప్పారు. అవి నిజానికి కొంతవరకు అయితే సార్ అక్కడ కంప్లీట్ చూసినట్టుగానే మాట్లాడారు. 2 కాలేజీలను కూడా అప్రిషియేట్ చేశారు. అది మనం చేసిన కష్టానికి ఆ ఒక్క మాట చాలు. ఎందుకంటే కమిషనర్ సార్ ఈజ్ ద వెరీ వెరీ ఇంటెలిజెంట్. అది అందరికి మనకు తెలిసిందే. ఈ రిఫార్మ్స్ అనేటివి సార్ వాళ్ళని టెక్నికల్గా మనకు అందించడం జరిగింది. ఇంకో కమిషనర్ ఉంటే ఏమర్థమో తెలియదు కానీ ఈజ్ ద డైనమిక్ కమిషనర్ ఆఫ్ కాలేజియేట్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ శ్రీ నవీన్ మిట్టల్ ఐఏఎస్ గారు. వారి ఆధ్వర్యంలో నిజంగా నేను అంటే నా మట్టుకు అనుకుంటున్నాను, నేను రిటైర్డ్ అయ్యేదాకా సార్ ఉంటే ఇంకా చాలా బాగుంటుందని, ఎన్నో నేర్చుకోగలమనేది నా ఆశ ఉంది. సో ఫ్యాకల్టీ కూడా అందరూ, ఆ కాలేజ్ స్టూడెంట్స్, ఎస్ఆర్ఆర్ కాలేజ్ స్టూడెంట్స్, మా కాలేజ్ స్టూడెంట్స్, స్టాఫ్ అందరూ ఒక దృక్పథంతో ఇందులో పాల్గొనడం అనేది నాకు బాగా నచ్చినది. ఎందుకంటే ప్రతి స్పీకర్ కూడా చాలా మంచి విషయాలతోటి మనం ముందుంచారు. అందులో భాగంగా మనకి సార్ చెప్పినదైతే మీకు ఇప్పుడు ఇందాక వివరించాను. ఇందులో భాగంగా కె స్నేహారెడ్డి, షీ గివెన్ ఎ గుడ్ presentation, and ములుగు శ్రీనివాస్ గారు, ఈ పాండిచ్చేరి శృతి గారు, కేవి రెడ్డి విజయవాడ ట్రాన్స్లేటర్ గారు, అండ్ డైరెక్టర్ సాకర్ అండ్ డాక్టర్ చంద్రారెడ్డి గారు హైదరాబాద్, అండ్ ప్రొఫెసర్ నౌ our voluntary guest Dr. Damodar Garu, VC of Chaitanya Deemed University, Almakonda. So I thanks all of our college colleagues అండ్ ముఖ్యంగా ఎస్ఆర్ఆర్ కాలేజ్ తోటి మేము కొలాబరేషన్లో ఉన్నామంటే ఐఎమ్ వెరీ హ్యాపీ. యాజ్ ఎ ప్రిన్సిపల్గా నేను ఇక్కడ ఉన్నందుకు నేను చాలా చాలా హ్యాపీగా ఉన్నాను. సో ఇంకెప్పుడైనా మమ్మల్ని కలుపుకొని మనము కలిసి ఇంకా కొన్ని చేయాలని ఒక ఇంగ్లీష్ డిపార్ట్మెంట్ వారికి అయితే నిజంగా నేను ధన్యవాదాలు చెప్తున్నాను. ఇంత మంచి టాపిక్ తీసుకొని కండక్ట్ చేసినందుకు. తర్వాత సబ్జెక్టులో
థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్ సార్.
మేడం గారు చాలా అలర్ట్గా మంచి స్టేజ్ మీద మంచి ప్రాధాన్యంగా వివరించి చెప్పడం అనేది మన మేడం ఉమామహేశ్వరి గారికి ధన్యవాదాలు ప్రత్యేకంగా. ప్రిన్సిపల్ అండ్ వైస్ ప్రిన్సిపల్ హిమబిందు గారికి ధన్యవాదాలు చెప్తూ ఇంకా ముగిస్తున్నాను.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, madam.
Thank you, sir. Now I request our beloved Vice Principal, Madam Himabindu Garu, to speak a few words.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, Uma Garu. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Mrs. M. Himabindu, Vice Principal, SRR Government Arts and Science College, Karimnagar. Behalf of our college and principal, from the bottom of my heart, I congratulate and appreciate this 2 days national webinar organizers, Department of English, SRR Government Arts and Science College, Karimnagar, collaboration with ABV Government Degree and PG College, Janagam, Telangana. It is a very good indication to organize by 2 departments together for the benefit of more participants. It shows our unity and we also strengthen our education system. Special thanks to our Honorable Commissioner Sri Naveen Mittal Garu, IAS, Collegiate Education, Telangana. He inaugurated with keynote address for this webinar. I congratulate and thanks to all the resource persons, Dr. Shruti Garu, Mulugu Srinivas Garu, K. Sneha Reddy Garu, Dr. Chelmai Reddy Garu, and Professor Damodar Garu. Sri Aurobindo is a great poet, spiritual nationalist, yoga guru, and Maharishi. Aurobindo's biography, we implement all his life achievements into our lifestyle. I also very much impressed to know the Aurobindo's biography. Thank you so much, Uma Maheshwari Garu and Rajesh Garu. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for coming and giving your valuable remarks. And now I welcome our the chief guest of today's webinar. Last session of this webinar, Professor Damodar Garu. Sir, before your presentation, I would like to invite Krishnaya Garu, Assistant Professor of English, to present Sir's profile.
Sir, good afternoon.
I think you have switched on your cell phone also.
Please, all others mute yourself. Please.
You have to use either iPad or cell phone, not both.
Good afternoon. Hello.
No, Mr. Krishna, are you using, what are you using right now? iPad or cell phone or computer?
Laptop.
Laptop. Then switch off your cell phone. Then we won't get
Send it out to the
the
other person.
Krishna sir, you please ask your colleagues to switch off their mute their mobiles. Who are there?
Send them out, sir. You be in the department and send all the others outside.
Yeah, if others also use in the same hall, we will have that echo sound. Parshuram Rao, where are you staying now?
Karimnagar, sir. In Karimnagar. Namaste.
Namaste, namaste. Karimnagar, are you working or enjoying a retired life?
I have been working in Alphos College, sir.
Okay, good, good.
For PG
He is our
classes.
guest lecturer, sir.
Yeah.
Now and then he visits our department
Okay,
and
good.
encourage our students.
I am very glad to see you, sir, here.
Me too.
Sir, may we have the introduction of Niruparani, madam, sir?
Yes, she is a retired professor of English from Andhra University, and she was the vice chancellor of Nannaya University.
Madam, welcome, madam. Thank you for gracing the occasion, madam. We are very fortunate to have you here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, hello. Good afternoon, all of you.
Now it's okay, Krishna.
It's my send a very hearty and warm welcome to our beloved principal, beloved professor, Z. Damoda, the keynote speaker, and all of you as well to the valedictory session. I am very pleased to present the brief biomota of esteemed Professor Z. Damoda, the first Vice Chancellor of Chaitanya Deemuthavi University, Warangal, Telangana State. In his 44 years of teaching and research experience at CKM College, Kakatiya University, Shatavahana University, and Chaitanya Deemuthavi University, Professor Z. Damoda has to his credit 42 books written and 12 edited, 78 papers published, presented, and contributed, and 60 journal articles. He has successfully guided 30 MPhil and PhD scholars, completed 3 UGC projects, gave 26 seminars, and led 54 national and 5 international seminars and workshops. He has attended and presented papers at 26 national and 29 international conferences and webinars, given 44 invited talks and lectures. He has visited 22 countries, including Sweden, the USA, Singapore, and Italy on academic assignments. Professor Damoda is a member of 26 academic bodies and was conferred with State Best Teacher Award in 2010 and President Excellence Award of LCI, Lions Club of International. He was the President of India's nominee for Dr. Hari Singh Gaur Central University, Sagar, Madhya Pradesh during 2015 to 2018. Professor Damodar was introduced to Sri Aurobindo in 1978 through the study of Savitri, taught by Professor S. Lakshman Murthy Garu. Later, he visited Sri Aurobindo ashram several times. He became a devotee of Sri Aurobindo and the mother. He is attached to Sri Aurobindo Center, Hanamkonda. He worked closely with a time sadhak of Sri Aurobindo ashram, Puducherry, Sri Indrasenji, for 3 decades. His interest in Sri Aurobindo's writings led him to guide a PhD scholar on Sri Aurobindo's mysticism and spirituality. His creative urge has made him compose 150 haikus on Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. He shared them in a WhatsApp group every week. He is going to cover 25 of them in his talk today for our introspection. All the English teachers of my college had an opportunity to work with him on 3 textbooks in English titled English for Communication, meant for the UG students of Shatavahana University, published by Cambridge University Press, when he was the chairman, Board of Studies in English at Shatavahana University. Currently, he is the first Vice Chancellor of Chaitanya University, Warangal. His detailed CV in 66 pages is available at the website www.chaitanya.edu.in. Chancellor. Now, I request and invite Professor Damodar sir for the session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Krishna sir. Thank you very much. Before your lecture, sir, I would like to study a few lines of Savitri, just few lines.
Okay, welcome.
A form from far beatitudes seemed to near, ambassadress twixt eternity and change. The omniscient goddess leaned across the breadths that wrapped the fated journeyings of the stars and saw the spaces ready for her feet. Thank you, sir. Welcome you once again and please carry on.
Om Sri Mata Arvindaya Namaha. Om Anandamayi, Chaitanyamayi, Satyamayi, Paramayi. Generally, my day begins with respects to Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. So I thank Krishna for his introduction. At the outset, I congratulate the principal, Dr. K. Ramakrishna, and the staff of SRR College, and the principal and the staff of ABV Degree College, Jangam, Dr. A. Narse and others, on conducting this 2-day national webinar on Sri Aurobindo. You have given a very good title, Sri Aurobindo is spiritual nationalist. For me, he is not only a spiritual nationalist, but he is a Rishi-like nationalist, a great yogi-like nationalist. We don't find such kind of nationalist in the past. So this is being organized on the eve of 150th birth anniversary of Sri Aurobindo, and as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And all colleges are expected to conduct several programs related to this Mahotsav. And today and tomorrow in our Warangal, we have a national cultural festival. I also congratulate the staff of SRR College, whom I know personally, particularly Uma Maheshwari Madam, who is an ardent devotee of Sri Aurobindo, and she has published a book also, and she has given me a copy of it. And Dr. Odelu, Shobha, Ramakrishna, Maruti, Rajesh Kumar, Dr. Joslina, Dr. Pradeep Kumar, Hari Krishna, Vijay Prakash, all of them are content developers of our textbooks published by Cambridge University Press. And I'm also glad to see Professor, my well-wisher, Professor Niruparani Madam from Andhra University. And my research scholar who is working on Sri Aurobindo, Sirisha, are you there? He is also attending this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, good. And Dr. Palakut Dinakar is also a devotee of Sri Aurobindo, and I'm glad to see all of them. This webinar had a very good beginning. Yesterday, your respected Commissioner Navin Mittalji advised all the students and teachers to follow Sri Aurobindo's teachings and his unique principles of education. I was listening to Madam Chalmai today also, And she rightly says that the more we read Sri Aurobindo, the less we understand. If it is a non-stop talk, we don't get into his philosophy. So I thought I could show some of the slides so that we follow him clearly. I'm also glad to share this webinar with dedicated and distinguished speakers like Dr. Shruti Badavekar from Sri Aurobindo Center for Advanced Research, Mulgu Srinivas Ji, Vice Chairman of Sri Aurobindo Society, K. Sneha Reddy Ji, Ashtanga Yoga Trainer, K. Venkateshwar Rao Ji, Translator from Vijayawada, Dr. Anand Reddy Ji, Chairman of Institute of Human Study, and today's another speaker, Dr. Chalamai Reddy, who is the dynamic principal of Sri Aurobindo's International School. When I was working, let me share, I think now I can share my screen. Yeah, with obeisance to Sri Aurobindo and blessings from Mother, I continue my talk. So when I was working on a PhD thesis of Sri Aurobindo with one of my research scholars, I was inspired to cover the gist of Sri Aurobindo's philosophy in 150 haikus. I posted these haikus on Sri Aurobindo's group of WhatsApp for feedback, and they were received well. I covered some of them, at least 30 of them, focusing not on Sri Aurobindo's cosmic consciousness in detail, but presenting it concisely in these drops of poetic essence. Let me introduce haiku. Originally, haiku is a Japanese classical form of poetry. It generally covers nature and humanism packed with wisdom in 5, 7, and 5 syllables. So the 5, 7, 5 syllabic meter is a must for traditional haiku, which has no plural form. In the 21st century, haiku is used in the plural form in free verse. Recently, haiku or hoku or haiku poems have become interchangeable. So according to Sri Aurobindo, all life is yoga. And in Savitri, line 78, he says, all can be done if the God touch is there. And these are my taglines of my email accounts, which I have been using for several years. So I understand when Sri Aurobindo says all life is yoga, I take it as a series of yogic, our life is a series of yogic exercises. Our life should be karma yoga, doing all our actions with commitment. It should be bhakti yoga, performing all our deeds with devotion. It should be jnana yoga, completing all our academic activities with a higher goal. Sri Aurobindo says, I quote from his selected writings, page 324, even when the yogi who feels his separate being swallowed up in cosmic consciousness or some kind of transcendent consciousness comes to outward action and reaction, finds the superficial ego still with him. Hence, the ascetic has a horror of action and says that without ego it cannot be done. It can, but it is fully done only when these outmost things are fully taken up and higher consciousness is taken up with eternity. So here this is in 80 words. So the above 80 words of Sri Aurobindo can be covered in, I condensed these 80 words of Sri Aurobindo into 19 words. in 34 syllables in the following two haikus. Cosmic conscious feeling of yogi controlled by his false ego. If we give up that false ego, then only we will have this cosmic consciousness, feeling of a yogi. So we are scared of even action. So this horror of action shadowed by higher feeling of consciousness. So there are three lines. First line has 5 syllables, second line 7 syllables, and again third line has 5 syllables. It sums up. So Sri Aurobindo had undergone a profound mystical experience with his mysterious religious and spiritual powers. As some of you know, mysticism is the belief that we can understand God directly by praying and meditation. And spiritualism is the belief that dead people are able to communicate with people who are still alive. Spiritual vision is related to our spirit instead of physical world. Music and prayer provide an immensely satisfying spiritual experience for many people. Sri Aurobindo says, I quote, "The one aim of yoga is an inner self-development by which each one who follows it can in time discover the oneself in all and evolve a higher consciousness than the mental, spiritual and supramental consciousness which will transform and divinize human nature." Unquote. This is from the website Hindu Online. So this was explained by me in these 6 haikus from 3 to 8. Light is bright, endless, making no room for darkness, truly timeless gift. One with the eternal lives in his infinity to be a graced soul. Light that leads us and power that aids us place us on his trodden path. Be on the path of perfection and winning in battle of conflicts. Look life from the soul's inner strength to be a master of circumstances. As knowledge grows light, flames up radiating one's inner conscience. Conquer the heart's throbs, let our heart beat in God, be a blessed soul. When all the rest fails, hid in ourselves the key of perfect changes. All for the divine, life not for the ego that limits our world. Life's repose is in infinity, divine force charges breath and speech. Law of divine life turns all things to sweet honey, making them lovely. So several scholars agree that the central theme of Sri Aurobindo's vision is the evolution of human life into the life divine, echoing Sri Aurobindo's words. I quote, "Man is a transitional being, is not final. The step from man to Superman is the next approaching achievement in the earth evolution. It's immutable because it is advanced the intention of the inner spirit and the logic of nature's process." Unquote. This is the observation by one of his biographical critic, Gokak. Sri Aurobindo synthesized Eastern and Western philosophy, religion, literature, and psychology in his writings. In the light of present crisis in the world, a reassessment of his uncanny themes is needed to transform human beings into divine beings with a super mind. Sri Aurobindo revised some of his works before they were published in book form. It was about his prose writing that Times Literary Supplement London wrote on 8th of July 1944. It remarked, I quote, "Sri Aurobindo is the most significant and and perhaps the most interesting, is a new type of thinker, one who combines in his vision the elasticity of the West with the illumination of the East. He is a yogi who writes as though he were standing among the stars with the constellations for his companions. So this nice observation by Times Literary Supplement created renewed interest in Sri Aurobindo's writings. So in the synthesis of yoga and in his voluminous correspondence with his disciples collected under the titles Letters on Yoga, Sri Aurobindo covers the psychological principles and practices of the internal yoga or Purna Yoga. The aim of his internal yoga is to enable the individuals who undertake a journey for the attainment of a conscious identity with the divine, the true self, and who want to transform the mind, life, and body so that they would become fit instruments for a divine life on the earth. So these ideas are expressed in these haikus from 8th to 16th. Soul, a spark of the divine, grows in flame for its real existence. A husband heart hears the unuttered word. A hushed heart hears the unuttered word. All is done if God touch is there. Again, we can, I'm influenced by this line from Savitri. Yoga unites us with the divine, awakens our inner self. So Sri Aurobindo argues that man is ignorant, divided, and conflicted by birth. He is a product of the original inconscience, that is, unconsciousness, inherent in matter that he evolved out of. As a result, he does not know the nature of reality, including its source and purpose. He is ignorant of his own nature, besides the parts and integration of his being. He is in darkness regarding what purpose he serves and what his individual and spiritual potential is among others. In addition, man experiences life through division and conflict, including his relationship with others and his divided view of life and spirit. If he wants to overcome these limitations, he must embark on a process of self-discovery through psychic, spiritual, and supramental transformations in which he uncovers his divine nature. So this is covered by in these haikus. There is power in us that knows beyond our physical knowings. We are greater than our thoughts, and sometimes earth unveils that vision. Pain is the hand of nature, sculpturing us to greatness of pleasure. True difficulty is in ourselves, not in our surroundings. Aspire intensely, perspire perfectly without any impatience. Make daily way a pilgrimage. Small joys and griefs move us towards God. Break the molds of past, but keep face its genius, spirit for future. Each fall and stumble has a purpose. The love of inaction is farce. Love and courage are the only real virtues to save soul alive. So Sri Aurobindo's vision of the future includes the appearance of what may be called a new species, the supramental being, a Gnostic divine being, which will be as different and superior to present humanity as humanity is to the animal. It will have a consciousness different from the mind of an ordinary human being. It will have a different status, quality, and functioning. Even the physical form of this being will be different. It will be more flexible, luminous, and adaptable. It will entirely be conscious and harmonious. Between this supramental being and humanity, there will be transitional beings who will be human in birth and form, but whose consciousness will be of the supramental being. This is said by Srinivas Iyengar. These transitional beings will appear prior to the full supramental being. They will constitute an intermediate stage in the evolution of the earth, through which the soul will pass in its growth towards its divine manifestation as the supramental being. Sri Aurobindo's spiritual vision extends beyond the perfection of the individual. It includes within its scope the evolution and transformation of human society. In both the individual and the society, the soul and the spirit are at first hidden. They influence the course and direction of development from behind, but allow nature to follow its gradual, zigzagging and conflict-ridden course. Later, the mind develops and becomes more dominant over obscure impulses and ego-centered drives of vital nature. This results in a more objective, enlightened approach and perception towards human existence and potential developments. At the highest stage of mental development, a greater principle and possibility becomes apparent, and it will be spiritual and supramental in nature. Sri Aurobindo indicates that the aim of his yoga is the divinization of earth by bringing down what he calls the super mind. It is covered, yes. So his message of divine life on earth is something new and unique in the history of mankind. So he says, we can divinize the earth by bringing down what he calls the super mind, which is the truth consciousness. So the particular method he suggests is the purification of all parts of the personality and their total and eventual surrender. Then the supermind allows the psychic being to emerge, enabling the individual to become the supramental being by opening to and receiving the supramental force. One of Sri Aurobindo's main philosophical achievements is to introduce the concept of evolution into Vedantic thought. Sankhya philosophy had already proposed such a notion centuries ago, but Sri Aurobindo rejects the materialistic tendencies of both Darwinism and Sankhya and proposed an evolution of spirit along with that of matter. He argues that humankind is not the last rung in the evolutionary scale, but can evolve spiritually beyond its current limitations to a state of spiritual and supramental existence. So this evolutionary existence is a divine life on the earth, characterized by spiritualized, supramental and truth consciousness-oriented humanity. Sri Aurobindo describes the limitation of the Mayavada of Advaita Vedanta and solves the problem of linkage between the ineffable Brahman or absolute and the world of multiplicity by positing the hitherto unknown and unexplored level of consciousness, which he calls the supermind. So the supermind is the active principle present in the transient Satchitananda, that is final. So as well as in the roots of evolution, it's a unitary level which our individual minds and bodies are its subdivisions. Sri Aurobindo rejects a major conception of Indian philosophy that says that the world is a Maya and that living as a sannyasi is the only way out. Maya will not permit us to transcend the three gunas, sattva, raja and tamas, or our inborn instinctual human nature. Swami Vivekananda explains in his book Jnana Yoga that any person who is able to rise above these gunas would emerge as a Trigunatita or Sthita Prajna. he refers to different levels of mind also. Now we are with ordinary mind, and some of us may have illumined mind. Unless we have intuitive mind, supramind, supermind, we cannot reach the levels of consciousness of Sri Aurobindo. So in trance, Sri Aurobindo visualized the entire Brahmananda. One cannot understand his philosophy with an ordinary mind. So by reaching the unexplored levels of consciousness of supramentalization only, we can understand his philosophy. And emblem, of course, you know that. So Sri Aurobindo thinks that it's possible to transform ourselves and live in the world as free and evolved human beings with a new consciousness and a new nature which spontaneously perceive truth of things and proceed in all matters on the basis of inner love, light and oneness. Our total and sincere surrender takes us to the divine grace. What constitutes tapasya, purity, ascendance and journey, eternal truth, aspiration, strength of silence, path to divine grace and finite for Sri Aurobindo are explained in these 26 to 34 haikus. 4 austerities lead to 4 liberations of our tapasya. Purity accepts no other influence but only the divine. Ascend from nature to divinity's heights. Stride for the goal is far. Rest not unduly, for your master awaits your end journey. He is eternal, our master. He is eternal, truth that we look in our world to discover. No sincere feet, aspiration to divine can fail in the end. In quiet silence, strength is restored, surrender to his protection. Let's give ourselves entirely, sincerely to the divine grace. When eternity takes time by the hand, then finite becomes free. A central tenet of Sri Aurobindo's philosophy is that the truth of existence is an omnipresent reality that transcends the manifested universe and is inherent in it. This reality, referred to as Brahman, is an absolute. It's not limited by any mental duality or conception, whether personal or impersonal, existent or non-existent, formless or manifested in form, timeless or extended in time, spaceless or extended in space. It's simultaneously all these, but is beyond by none of them. It is at once the universe, each individual being and the thing in the universe, and the transcendent beyond the universe. In its highest manifested voice, its nature may be described as Satchitananda, infinite bliss, existence and consciousness, a principle in which the three are united in a single reality. In other words, it's fully conscious and blissful infinite existence. The importance of this concept of humanity lies in its implication that Brahman is the secret and deepest reality. It is the true self, and it is possible to recover this reality by removing the veil of ignorance, and it hides it from human beings, that imprisons them in a false identification with an apparently divided and limited egoistic moment on the surface of the being. This is the metaphysical basis for Sri Aurobindo's yoga, the disciple given to consciously unite human life with its essential reality. What relation has this universe to us is the bewildering question that allowed human beings to ponder over the broader fields of strategy beyond the perpetual world. Sri Aurobindo's works have a tremendous potential in bringing true realization in mankind. In conclusion, here is in Sri Aurobindo's word, what he promises to the future of the earth and the mankind. All, this is from Savitri, lines 71 onwards. So all then shall change, a magic order come, overtopping this mechanical universe. A mightier race shall inhabit the mortal's world, on nature's luminous tops, on the spirit's ground. The Superman shall reign as king of life, make earth almost the mate and peer of heaven, and lead towards God and truth man's ignorant heart, and live towards Godhead is mortality. Nature shall live to manifest secret God, the spirit shall take up the human play. This earthly life becomes the life divine. So the process of existence emerging from the inconscient material existence is referred to as evolution by Sri Aurobindo. Initially, it emerges from the stages of life, matter and mind. On 15th of August 1973, Sri Aurobindo completed 100 years of earthly existence. Now we are celebrating his 150th birthday anniversary. So we can say earthly because he has left his body. However, he has not left his spirit of higher consciousness. So the mother assures us that Sri Aurobindo is there to see the work begin, is completed gradually. So to conclude, Sri Aurobindo is the living legend who stood as an exemplary to assist the common human mind with his brilliant plan of unveiling the truth of eternal divine bliss. Though he was a yogi, he was not a hermit, but a brave explorer who experienced every moment of his own life to arrive at the meaning that goes beyond human life. Thank you for your patient hearing. There are several, I think, central theme and 4 parts. This is evolution. There are several quotes also, but I think that's enough. Thank you. Stop sharing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the lengthy PPT, which gives the gist of the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo in your haikus, Sri Aurobindo philosophy. Thank you very much for your speech, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, anyone wants to give feedback on this session? Please.
Yes, madam. I will speak, sir. Madam.
Sir, please carry on.
Yes. Thank you, Professor Damodarji. Your speech is very much enlightening. That means we went to the divine world with your words. Actually, practically, we read the lines of poetry you quoted here, and they're very interesting. I don't know from which book you mentioned there, but practically, it is directly goes into the heart. I was very much impressed by your lecture also. That means, so by listening to your lecture, I would like to read the entire, that means poetry written by Aurobindo, etc. Yes. It is very useful to all of us. And particularly about this session, I must thank Kuma Maheshwari Madam, Professor College, and the Principal Degree College of Jangam. Rajesh, particularly, both of you did a wonderful job. Yes. And the entire world appreciates you now. That means in your, that means you are very much successful, and I hope that you may bring up such webinars in future also. That will bring glory to our, not only to you, but also to SRA College.
Yes.
And also I feel very proud because of the student of SRA College, and now it has achieved autonomous status. Also, in accordance with that, that means you are doing a good job. I really appreciate you, and bring laurels to the college in future also. That means I hope that you must conduct seminar also in future. And certainly our students also will benefit from such programs if they regularly attend to our programs. and many speakers spoke wonderfully. Certainly, this program will bring that we keep our call in a good perspective throughout the nation. That means because many people participated from all corners of the country also, particularly people from Aurobindo Ashram and Madam from Aurobindo International School spoke very elaborately about present education system. That is also essential because Shuk Kumar also particularly spoke about the system, what are the loopholes in the education system and how he also relates it to Aurobindo's philosophy. So I think that means this webinar served its purpose. I'm very much thankful to all the stakeholders. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It is a teamwork, sir. Teamwork from the side of our department. It's not only me, entire department worked very hard for 15 days to make it materialize. Thank you very much. And anyone else, please?
And such seminars ought to have been conducted by universities.
Yes.
But I really appreciate you, all of you, for conducting this at UG level. I think you have PG course also. But universities are scared of conducting such webinars, but you have done it commendably.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your motivating words. And Rajesh sir has moved to Janagam College, sir.
Oh.
In recent transfers. And this was the idea before he moved to that on transfer.
Yeah,
so
really.
we made it a collaborative work, and it was really good. He was the host of the Google Meet, and he operated from there, and we, the Department of English here, operated everything in the other side.
He is good at social media. Wherever Rajesh Kumar works,
yes, sir.
He is accessible to all of you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He is very good at all these technical skills. And we have one more hand, Krishnaya sir, and even Maruti sir.
Okay.
We have all worked together to make it a grand success, sir. Thank you very much. And anyone else, please?
Jocelyn is there.
Good evening, madam.
Good
evening all.
Please carry on.
Madam, it was a wonderful session. Both the days, I was an active participant in all your sessions. So I was, although I was busy with all my classes over here, but I still managed to listen to all the sessions, and quite interesting, ma'am. And in these days of troubled times, of a lot of stress, and regarding, all aspects of life, we are facing stress of every kind. And these sessions have really enlightened us on how important is knowing oneself. And as Damodar sir was rightly saying, all life is yoga. The session was really enlightening, sir. Thank you so much. And madam, I want to congratulate you and all the faculty of SRR College for bringing up such a good program. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you. Let me give an account of the work done by the department, sir, on this webinar from our side. As I said just now, Rajesh sir and Krishnaya sir and even Maruti sir worked on this technical part of the thing. And we have a wonderful guest faculty with us and one contract lecturer also who worked before this seminar in typing and all these, what shall I say, Microsoft Word thing, and all was done by the guest faculty people, and they have given a very good support for me. And we have a great, what shall I say, report writer here, our Ramakrishna sir. He started writing everything. He gave a script for the webinar, and even he gave a script for our principal sir, and even reports for the media people and everything. He is our PRO. And Odelu sir, as usual, he is our eldest person of the department, giving advices of all the, whenever we need the advices. And even we have Shobha madam, who is ready to do anything, any work of the department, and she extended her support in distributing all the profile reading papers to everyone and all. And we have a good team at SRR College. And Rajesh sir, though he went to Janagaon, we are not considering him as an outsider. He is there still with us now in our department, and there also he worked very hard to create this Google link and arrange this platform for the webinar in his college and at the home also. And the team worked there also, his guest faculty and even the computer department. He took the help from them, and all of us have worked together to make it really a success. And with all your blessings, with all your support and cooperation only, it could be so much of success we have gained, sir. Thank you very much. And any other feedback, sir, please. Okay. Now, Sir Krishna, sir, are you ready for the...
Dr. Palakurti Dinakar, are you there?
Yes, madam.
Please feedback.
I'm sorry for the inconvenience due to a technical issue at the beginning of this session. I'm pleased to propose a vote of thanks on behalf of the Departments of English, SRR Government Degree College, Karimnagar, and ABV Government Degree College, Law. I express my gratitude to Professor G. Damodar sir for enlightening us with their haikus. Thank you very much, sir, for capturing some specific lines from the Aurobindo philosophy and describing the spirituality and various yogas of Sri Aurobindo.
Thank you.
I would like to thank the principal of SRR Government Degree College and ABV Government Degree College principals as well, and all the other participants for their support. My thanks to the English department of SRR and ABV colleges for taking the initiative to maintain the webinar. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Rajesh, sir,
Okay.
could you conclude?
Okay, ma'am.
Yes.
I request all the participants to fill out the Google form which is posted in the chat box to get e-certificates. It is my privilege to propose vote of thanks to this two-day national webinar, a tribute on the occasion of 150th birth anniversary celebration of Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo, the poet and the nationalist. On behalf of all the participants, students and faculty of both the colleges, SRR Government Degree College and ABV Government Degree College, I propose my vote of thanks. And now I would like to thank our chief guest and for his inaugural speech, Sri Navin Mittal, IAS Commissioner, College of Education, for accepting our invitation and participating in the webinar. And I also thank our college principal, Sri Dr. A. Narsaya Garu, ABV Government Degree College, for his constant support and encouragement. And also, we are very thankful to Dr. K. Ramakrishna Garu, Principal, SRR Government Degree College, Karimnagar, for encouraging all of us to conduct this webinar. And I also, and a special thanks to J. Uma Maheshwari, ma'am, Head Department of English, SRR College. Without her cooperation, this webinar would not be possible. So it's true, she has taken much pain, and all the faculty of the English department of SRR College worked as a team and made it a grand success. And thank you all, Dr. Ramakrishna, Dr. O.S. Kumar, Sonia Reddy, Nikhil, Dr. Shobha Rani, C.H. Maruti, and I thank all of them. And also, I would like to thank Mr. Srinivas and Rajshekhar from Computer Department, Rajshekhar from TSKC, who designed poster and also who helped in technical issues, who helped in our, with our technical problems, to solve the technical problems. And I also thank speakers of the first day and second day speakers, Sri K. Sneha Reddy, Sri K. Sneha Reddy, and Shruti Bidwakar from Saukar, Puducherry, Mulgu Srinivas for his talk on spiritual nationalist, and also speakers of second day, K. Venkateshwar Rao, translator from Vijayawada, now who delivered talk on the relevance to present day world, Sri Aurobindo's relevance to present day world, and also big thanks to Dr. Ananda Reddy, Director, Sakar Puducherry, Chairman, Institute of Human Study, Hyderabad. And I also we are very thankful to Dr. Chalamai Reddy, Director, Principal, Sri Aurobindo International School, Vidyanagar, Hyderabad, Telangana. And I express my gratitude to Professor G. Damodar Garu for our valedictory speech, for his presence, and we are very fortunate, sir, and we are very happy to we are very happy that you are here with us and delivered a keynote address to the webinar participants. And I thank all the participants, faculty, students, and all the technical support team. Thank you one and all.
Kishore sir and Muttanna.
I also thank Kishore sir for preparing e-certificate, and Muttanna from Microbiology, Dr. Muttanna from Microbiology, SLR Degree College. Really very thankful. Actually, we tried, but we failed to create an e-certificate. Yes. They helped us very much. Very thanks to Dr. Kishore and Dr. Muttanna for their help in designing e-certificate and creating link to get an e-certificate to the participants. Thank you one and all. With this, and again I'll request all of you to please fill out the Google form to get an e-certificate to your email. Right. So with this, I conclude the 2-day national seminar. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Yes, Shalini. Is this Shalini? Do you want to say something? Okay. The Google form is again posted. I mean, feedback form is posted in the chat box now. Please fill it out to get an e-certificate of the webinar. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you all the participants who supported us and being on the line for continuously 2 days for all the 8 talks. Thank you very much.